This lesson is on absolute value equations. One thing you got to remember about absolute value is it always gives you a positive number. So it doesn't matter what's inside the absolute value symbol. When you simplify it, your answer will be positive. Now, notice the notation for absolute value. It's two vertical lines with something in between. Alright. Now, let's look at the absolute value of -2. Because it's an absolute value, when you simplify it, you will get a +2. So, absolute value of whatever's inside gives you a +2. Now, suppose we look at this absolute value of +2. Well, again, when we simplify the absolute value of +2, we get a +2. So there's always two answers to an absolute. Well, let me rephrase that. Most of the time, there's two answers to an absolute value. Now, if you notice, one of the numbers in the absolute value was negative, and one was positive. So that's how we're going to solve these equations. We're going to set the number equal to negative and set the number equal to positive, and then solve for x. So here is what I'm talking about. Let's look at this equation. Now, I want to find what goes here that will give me a 3. Now, above, a -2 gave me a +2, a +2 gave me a +2. So, what numbers give me a +3? Well, the only choices I have are these two, -3 and +3. The absolute value of -3 is +3. The absolute value of +3 is +3. So this is how we're going to set these up. Notice I took the x inside, set it equal to -3, took the x inside, set it equal to +3. That's how we're going to work these. Alright, so when we're solving them, you take what's inside the absolute value symbol, and you set it equal to whatever this number is. And then you set it equal to the opposite of that number. Notice here, I've taken the x plus 1, set it equal to +6. I've taken the x plus 1 and set it equal to -6. So what we have is two equations we have to solve. I'll go ahead and write this out. Now, in order to solve for x, we can just, normally we would just, in this case, subtract 1 from both sides. And subtract 1 from both sides. When we do that, these are the answers we get. So if I let x be any of those, either of those numbers, I'm going to get an answer of +6. And you can actually check that if you wanted to. If we put the 5 where the x is, it's going to give me this, which is going to give me this. If I put the -7 where the x is, I'm going to get the absolute value of -6, which gives me 6. So they both work, okay? So we're going to be setting up two equations equal to a positive number and a negative number. So we just worked a whole bunch of problems here. Alright. We'll do this first one. Suppose this is my absolute value. Alright. I take the 2x plus 1 from out of the absolute value symbol, and I'll set it equal to +6. Then I turn around and take the 2x plus 1 and set it equal to -6. Then we're going to solve for x. So here, subtract 1 from both sides. 2x equals 5. Then divide by 2. So one of my answers is 5/2. second equation, we subtract 1 from both sides. We're going to get 2x equals negative 7. Divide by 2. So my other answer is x will equal negative 7 halves. It's okay if you get fractions, not a big deal. Let's say we have 3x minus 2 equals 10. So you take the 3x minus 2 set it equal to positive 10. Turn around and take the 3x minus 2, set it equal to negative 10. Alright, so this one we're going to add 2 to both sides. We're going to get 3x equals 12. Divide by 3. So x will be 4. This one when I add 2 to both sides, I'll get 3x to be negative 8. I'm going to divide by 3. So x turns out to be negative 8/3. Alright, let's do... I need to add a slide. Hold on, y'all. Let me add another slide here. So let's do... I want to do third example will be, we'll do I don't know, 7x plus 5 equals, I don't know, 15. Why not? So we're going to take the 7x plus, we're going to take the 7x plus 5. Take the 7x plus 5, set it equal to positive 15, and set it equal to negative 15. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So I'm going to get 7x equals 10. Divide by 7, so x will be 10/7. It's not always going to be fractions. This one we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So we're going to get 7x equals negative 20. Divide both sides by 7, so x will be negative 20/7. Alright, now let's do one that looks a little different. Let's do x plus 1 minus 6 equals 7. Notice there is a constant outside of the absolute value symbol. We don't want a constant on the outside of the absolute value. We want the absolute value by itself on the left side, which means I got to move that 6 somehow. So just like regular equations, we're going to add 6 to both sides, which will give me x plus absolute value of x plus 1 equals 13. Now we take the x plus 1, set it equal to positive 13. Take the x plus 1, set it equal to negative 13. Alright, so subtracting 1 from this side, we'll get positive 12. Subtracting 1 from this side, we'll get negative 14. That's my two answers. That's number 4. Okay, number 5. Now number 5 is going to look a little different. I'm going to put a number in front of the absolute value symbol. this is, this means multiplication, 3 times x plus 1, the absolute value. Now remember, when we're solving equations and there's a constant or a coefficient, we have to divide by the coefficient. So I'm going to get rid of the 3 by dividing both sides by the 3. You cannot distribute through an absolute value. You have to get rid of it. So we're going to end up with x plus 1 equals positive 3. So we're going to get, take the x plus 1, set it equal to positive 3. X plus 1 equals to negative 3. When we subtract 1 from this side, we're going to get positive 2. Subtract it from this side, we're going to get negative 4. Now, here's an example of where you've got to move a constant and then divide. So let's say we got 4 in front of x minus 6 plus 3 equals 7. Now, when we're solving equations, remember we get rid of the constant. Well, I get rid of the constant first. You got to get rid of the constant in this case. You move the 3 over to where the 7 is. So we subtract 3 from both sides. That leaves me with 4 times x minus 6 equals to 4. We've got to get rid of the 4, so we divide both sides by 4. We're going to get absolute value of x minus 6 is equal to 1. Then we set the x minus 6 equal to positive 1. X minus 6 equal to negative 1. Whoops. And so when I solve this one, we add 6 to both sides. I'm going to get x to be 7. When I add 6 to this side, I'm going to get x to be positive 5. Okay, so that's absolute value equations.